I don't know about you, but I have a feeling we're in for a big surprise. Things are hot behind the scenes at the Detroit Lions, and I need to talk about it with you today. There are rumors circulating that a big name could be on the way to the Lions as early as this week. We also need to talk about the salary cap and how Brad Holmes intends to manage it all. Without further ado, I want to get straight to the point. But before I continue, make sure you've already hit the like button. But only do so if you have blue and silver blood and have been a Lions fan for at least 10 years. Write your age and which game from the 80s had the biggest impact on you. It's great to see fans of all generations here. Let's start with the hottest topic in the Detroit Lions front office, the possibility of adding former Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander. Released by Green Bay, Alexander is now on the market, and reports have given us a hint of what could happen next. Even Packers beat writer Wendell Faria listed the Lions as one of the top 10 possible destinations. Why? Because NFC North teams tend to keep their talent within the division, and we've seen that before. Just ask Darius Smith. But here's the question. Should the Lions even consider it? Yes, the Lions have the cap flexibility to make a move. Alexander, at 28 years old and with his injury history, isn't likely to command a massive contract. Something like a one-year, $5 million deal seems realistic, but even with that in reach, it's a complicated scenario. Alexander is undoubtedly talented, a true game-changer when healthy, but he's been limited, playing only 7 games in both 2023 and 2024, and just 4 in 2021. His last season, just 15 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 7 pass deflections. That's decent output, but nowhere near his peak form. Now look at the Lions secondary. It's already deep with names like Dennis Rakestraw, Amick Robertson, Terrion Arnold, DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph, and Brian Branch, not to mention several young developmental prospects. Would Alexander even crack the starting lineup consistently? Would he be okay taking a rotational role just to chase a ring with a rising contender like Detroit? And more importantly, would the Lions be willing to risk a roster spot on a banged-up veteran when the focus has clearly been on youth and long-term development? It's the kind of decision Brad Holmes will have to weigh carefully, balancing locker room culture, future financial implications, and immediate production. That leads us straight into another fascinating storyline, the cap space picture. Right now, the Lions are projected to have about $54.378 million in salary cap space for 2026, which sounds healthy until you realize it ranks last in the NFL. The figure is based on a projected $295 million cap, with Detroit set to have under $350 million in spending. That leaves them with some tough decisions ahead. But here's where it gets interesting. The Lions still have $40 million in cap space heading into 2025. That means they have a golden opportunity to roll some of that over into 2026, easing the future crunch. And yes, Frank Ragnow's retirement, while painful on the field, does offer financial relief. So is the front office concerned? Not visibly. The belief in Holmes' long-term vision remains strong, and this front office has earned trust after methodically building a playoff-ready roster. Speaking of veterans wanting to return, Darius Smith made headlines at the 2025 BET Awards. In his own words, he told USA Today, "We both know where we want to be. Hopefully I can get back to Detroit because the coaching staff and everybody in the front office are great." That kind of mutual interest is gold. And when a veteran like Smith, someone with leadership, playoff experience, and passion for this locker room, speaks that openly about coming back, you take notice. Smith emphasized how he can guide the young core, still contribute at a high level, and benefit from Detroit's culture. With a relatively underwhelming offseason marked by the Ragnow loss and limited big-name additions, Smith's return would inject both familiarity and firepower into the defensive front. But no conversation about the Lions is complete without checking in on the quarterback room, and this one is heating up big time. Hendon Hooker entered OTAs with a cloud of trade speculation overhead, and according to insiders, he hasn't done enough yet to put those rumors to rest. Despite being given opportunities, Hooker has yet to show he can be the reliable backup Detroit needs behind Jared Goff. With training camp looming, this is a make-or-break stretch for the second-year quarterback. Hooker fans might point out that he had the backup role locked up last season before the team brought back Teddy Bridgewater for the playoff run. And it's true, if he was trusted then, shouldn't he be even better now? But the concern remains. If neither Hooker nor Kyle Allen emerges convincingly, Detroit might need to look elsewhere. That's where things get crazy, literally. A trade rumor surfaced via Heavy.com, proposing a swap between the Lions and Browns, Hooker and a 2026 fifth-rounder for Shader Sanders. Now let's be clear, this idea has almost no chance of materializing. It doesn't fit Detroit's identity. The front office passed on Sanders multiple times during the draft for a reason. This team is built on grit, humility, and development, not flash or stardom. And Sanders? He just doesn't align with what Dan Campbell's crew is building. Still, the rumor itself hints at broader concerns. If the Browns, who have a logjam at QB, release a more proven veteran, could Detroit scoop one up if Hooker falters? So the question becomes, what should the Lions do if Hooker continues to underwhelm? Should they look for a veteran backup elsewhere, or stay the course with what they've got? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The quarterback situation in Detroit is more than just about depth. It's about securing the future behind Jared Goff, especially as this franchise sets its sights on a Super Bowl run. As we established in part 1, Hendon Hooker hasn't exactly silenced the doubters during OTAs, and that uncertainty casts a long shadow as training camp approaches. With Goff's durability never being a major concern, the hope was always that Hooker could quietly develop and eventually take over as a cost-effective and capable starter or, at the very least, a trusted backup. But so far, that script isn't writing itself as planned. Kyle Allen, meanwhile, is a serviceable veteran, but not the kind of game-changer who instills confidence if the season were to ride on his shoulders. That's why the chatter around the quarterback room is starting to pick up, especially with other teams, like the Cleveland Browns, housing crowded QB groups. If a better option shakes free, it's not out of the question that Detroit makes a quiet, strategic move. But again, trading for someone like Shader Sanders, it's not just unlikely, it's off-brand. That diva energy just doesn't mesh with a Dan Campbell locker room built on toughness and brotherhood. Still, there's an elephant in the room. The Lions don't just want to compete, they want to win it all. And that raises the stakes for every position, including QB too. Brad Holmes isn't afraid to make a bold move if it's right for the team, and if Hooker doesn't lock down that backup spot convincingly, don't be surprised if a move is made, even if it's a low-key one. It might not be flashy, but that's not what Detroit is after. They want reliability. They want readiness. Now, shifting back to a name that fans have been buzzing about, Darius Smith. His open declaration of love for the organization was more than just words. That's a veteran who sees Detroit as a destination, not just a stopgap. And while there's no deal on the table yet, the mere existence of mutual interest is a huge development. This is a team that just lost one of its anchors in Frank Ragnow. They've got talent, yes, but every contender knows the value of strong veteran leadership in the locker room. Smith brings that, and if there's even a slight chance to make that reunion happen, it's something the front office will keep on the radar. And finally, let's not overlook the bigger cap picture as it quietly becomes one of the most strategic battles facing the Lions. That projected $54 million cap space in 2026, ranked dead last in the league, is a warning sign. But it's not a crisis, yet. What's impressive is how proactive the team is being. Rolling over $40 million from 2025 isn't just smart, it's critical. And thanks to Ragnow's retirement, some financial breathing room has opened up. So here's where it all comes together. Do the Lions go all in for 2025 knowing the cap will get tighter? Do they take a gamble on a risky but talented vet like Jair Alexander, knowing it could be a one-year rental? Do they keep the faith in Hendon Hooker, or pivot now to ensure Goff has a reliable backup before the season starts? You tell me, Lions Nation, should the front office stay conservative with its resources, or is now the time to make bold moves for a championship push? Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe for more exclusive Lions content. And don't go anywhere, check out the next video on screen for even more breaking updates as we head toward training camp. Go Lions!